In 1811, a textile worker in Nottingham picked up a hammer and smashed a knitting frame. In 2025, a software developer in San Francisco opened a laptop and trained the tool that wrote his replacement's code. Same story. Faster every time. This is the entire history of AI replacing humans. And the pattern that should terrify you isn't the machines. It's the speed before electricity, before computers, before anyone had heard the word automation. The first wave started with cotton. In the late 1700s, Britain's textile industry ran on human hands. Weavers, knitters, spinners, skilled workers who'd apprenticed for years. They set their own hours, controlled their own output, had status. Then came the power loom, the spinning mule, the water frame. Factory owners figured out that one machine, operated by a child, could do the work of several trained adults. Wages collapsed. Entire communities went from comfortable to destitute inside a decade. Sound familiar? It should. On March 11, 1811, a group of workers in Nottingham stopped asking nicely. They called themselves the Luddites, followers of a probably fictional leader named Ned Ludd. And they started smashing machines. Not because they hated technology, because the technology was being used to starve them. The British government responded by sending 13,000 troops. More soldiers than were fighting Napoleon in some theaters of the actual war. Workers were executed, transported to penal colonies. The machines stayed. But here's the part that got left out of the history books for 200 years. The factories eventually created far more jobs than the looms destroyed. Millions of them. The work was different. Less skilled, worse paid, more dangerous. But there was more of it. The pattern holds. Every single time. At least it has so far. Fast forward. The muscles had been replaced. Now it was the clerk's turn. In the 1950s, machines like the UNIVAC and IBM mainframes started doing something new, processing information. Calculations that took a room full of bookkeepers a week could be finished in minutes. By the 1960s, the number of typists and bookkeepers in the US had started to fall. By the late 1970s, roughly 400,000 clerical jobs had been wiped out by data processing automation. President Lyndon Johnson was worried enough to create a national commission on it in 1964. The National Commission on Technology, Automation, and Economic Progress. That's how seriously the US government took the threat of machines replacing office workers. 60 years ago, the commission concluded more or less that technology creates more jobs than it destroys, that the disruption was temporary, that everything would balance out, and it did. The clerical jobs shrank, but IT departments, software development, systems management, entire industries that hadn't existed a decade earlier absorbed the slack. The pattern holds. The third wave didn't replace muscles or clerks. It replaced the people who connected other people to things. Switchboard operators, gone. Travel agents, gutted. Bank tellers. Well, this is where it gets interesting. In 1969, the first ATM appeared in an American bank. The machine was literally called the automated teller machine. It was designed explicitly to replace the person standing behind the counter. London bank tellers were so frightened, they reportedly snuck out at night and covered the first ATM keyboards with honey. By the mid-1990s, over 400,000 ATMs were installed across the United States. Every economist on Earth expected teller jobs to vanish. They grew. Here's why. The ATM cut the average number of tellers per branch from 21 to about 13. That made branches cheaper to run. Banks opened more of them. More branches meant more teller jobs overall, even with fewer tellers per location. And the tellers who remained shifted from counting cash to selling financial products. The job didn't die, it mutated. But this time, something is different. Because the ATM story has a second act nobody talks about. Teller numbers finally did collapse in the 2000s. Not because of ATMs, because of the iPhone. Mobile banking didn't automate the teller's tasks. It made the trip to the bank irrelevant. The ATM replaced what tellers did. The smartphone replaced why you'd see one at all. That distinction matters more than you think. Remember it, November 30th, 2022. OpenAI launches ChatGPT. Within 2 months, it becomes the fastest-growing consumer application in history. And for the first time in 260 years of automation, the machines came for the thinkers. Not the factory floor, not the filing cabinet, not the bank counter, the laptop, the keyboard, the part of the job that was supposed to be safe because it required a human brain. The numbers moved fast. A study by researchers at Harvard Business School and Imperial College London tracked 1.4 million freelance job listings. In the 8 months after ChatGPT launched, demand for writing jobs fell 30%. Software development listings dropped 21%. Translation work for Western languages collapsed by 30%. Jobs writing About Us pages for company websites down 50%. These weren't projections. These were completed transactions on real platforms, tracked in real time. By 2025, the corporate playbook had caught up. Challenger, Gray, and Christmas, the firm that's tracked layoffs since 1989, reported that companies directly cited AI in roughly 55,000 job cuts that year, 12 times more than 2 years earlier. Salesforce cut 4,000 customer support roles. Amazon eliminated 14,000 corporate positions. Microsoft let go of 15,000. Ford CEO Jim Farley told investors that AI would replace literally half of all white-collar workers. Now, it's worth asking whether that's real or whether it's theater. But the freelancers who lost 30% of their job listings don't care whether the reason is real disruption or corporate posturing. The paycheck stopped either way. And what makes this wave different from the other three is speed. The ATM took 25 years to reshape bank branches. The power loom took a generation to gut hand weaving. ChatGPT reshaped the freelance writing market in 8 months. The World Economic Forum's 2025 Future of Jobs report projected 170 million new roles created by 2030 and 92 million displaced. A net gain of 78 million jobs. That's the optimistic read. The catch is that 39% of existing skills are expected to become obsolete in 5 years. And 41% of employers worldwide said they plan to shrink headcount because of AI. The pattern says new jobs will come. The speed says they might not come fast enough. Pull back. Look at the whole timeline. 4 waves. Same story every time. A new technology appears. Workers panic. Economists say it'll be fine. The jobs do disappear. New jobs do eventually appear. And in between, real people lose their homes, their savings, their identities. The weavers of 1811, the typists of 1970, the travel agents of 2005. So here's the honest version of what the pattern actually shows. The total number of jobs has always recovered. That part is true, but the people who lost jobs were rarely the ones who got the new ones. The hand weavers didn't become factory managers. The typists didn't become software engineers. The recovery was real. The individual pain was permanent. And now you're watching Wave 4. The previous 3 waves moved up the skill ladder. Muscles, then routine thinking, then connection tasks. Each wave hit the people who'd been told they were safe. Factory workers were told to retrain as office workers. Office workers were told to retrain as knowledge workers. Knowledge workers were told their cognitive skills were the one thing machines couldn't touch. That was wrong. I don't think most people have processed what it means that the machines are now competing with thinking itself. Not with the routine parts of thinking, with the creative parts, with writing, with code, with analysis, with the work that pays for the house and the degree and the sense that you're contributing something a machine can't. The pattern might hold. New jobs might appear that none of us can imagine yet. That's happened before. Every single time. But the gap between losing the old job and finding the new one? That gap has been shrinking. The loom took 50 years. The computer took 20. ChatGPT is taking months. If the gap closes to 0, the pain disappears. If it doesn't, a lot of people are going to fall through it. That's not a prediction, that's the pattern. That was 260 years and 10 minutes, 4 waves, 1 pattern, and a 5th wave that's already started. If you want to know which specific jobs survive what's coming next, that's the video on screen now. Subscribe if you want to keep watching, because in 1811 a weaver smashed a machine, and the machine is still here.